Okay, so it actually feels like nearing the end of the week when I talk about like this surrounding like the Sun Pluto conjunction and that kind of stuff, that and more so towards actually the weekend is what I sense is a highlighted energy for this week. I feel like it relates to that new moon in Capricorn, but that is not the highlighted energy, surprisingly enough. It's what comes out of that towards more so the end of the week, which I talk about in the video here, that you'll kind of see as more liberating, more freeing, as we have this more Aquarian type of an energy that seems to exist at that time. Just a reminder that this is a global mundane reading and not a personal sun sign or all signs kind of a reading. Okay, so let's pull up the chart here for Sunday the 18th, and of course this is when we're going to have this new moon here happening in Capricorn. It kind of shows a bit off here because there's so many planets and points at the end of Capricorn there that you can see the little lines that point. It is at the end of Capricorn, 28 degrees. All right, not in Aquarius like it kind of looks like here, but it is in Capricorn, okay? So I'm being drawn to the fact that this is also conjunct Mars and also conjunct Mercury, and we also have Mercury conjunct Mars on this day as well. So they're obviously like within a 2-degree conjunction to this new moon, okay? But what I'm feeling is that it's still relevant. Okay, let me just tune in here. Honestly, I get Trump. I get a strong political figure. I'm seeing Trump. I feel that it's probably specifically towards him. And this feels like taking action towards setting certain aspects of boundaries. There's an aspect of boundaries and taking control in some way here with this new moon. And I'm being drawn out of the fact with Mercury here, there's communication involved. And it's communication involved surrounding communication. I feel like it could be harsh communication as we're dealing with Mars, but it's also communication regarding action steps or action which has currently or will be being taken towards those boundaries and those types of things, etc., in kind of laying down the law, so to speak, in that sense. Now, I'm remaining politically neutral here simply because I'm just saying the message, okay? It doesn't matter what your political opinion is, what my political opinion is, or anything like that. This is just strictly the message that is coming through. I feel like I need to say that when regarding him, because then people start to assume, oh this, or oh that, or oh this is your opinion, whatever. I'm just saying the message, okay? That's it. That's all I'm saying. All right, you take it, you have your own opinions, you take it for what you will. All right, I am just the messenger here, okay? That's what this is. So there is maybe a harsh kind of communication, strong kind of a communication, what I get also with that Mercury in conjunction to Mars, but surrounding that new moon, because we're dealing with Capricorn. This is dealing with, the word that I get is order. Order. And it's setting boundaries and whatever towards order, whatever that means. All right. So I'm just going to kind of leave that at that. I think that in and of itself should be enough to describe that. Also on this day, we're going to have Pluto here in sextile to Black Moon Lilith. This feels like, honestly, it feels like freeing those who have been outcasted in whatever way regarding, remember this is global, so we're talking about countries in those kinds of ways. What I feel with this is there's a positive transformation here, obviously with Pluto and Aquarius and with sextile to Black Moon Lilith, surrounding freeing those who have been outcasted, but because of that Sagittarian energy, it feels like other countries around the world. It feels this is a very kind of like a global thing. It feels like something is freeing. I'm being drawn to the fact of Pluto in Aquarius, that aspect of freedom with Aquarius, or even that, like, it feels like very humanitarian, very freeing, very like aspect of rebellion kind of a thing. And the transformation that is involved with that, freeing that which has been outcasted in whatever way. Okay, that's what's coming through. We're also going to have Mercury in sextile to Saturn. I feel like this is relating to that Mercury conjunct Mars. I feel like there's something being laid down or laid in here around appropriate boundaries, those kinds of things. Okay, but this is surrounding new structures. Because Saturn was retrograde, now it's direct. This feels like it's surrounding new, more positive structures in whatever way. How this is going to play out, I have no idea, guys. Okay, I'm just stating the message as it comes. You take of this what you will, but I'm just saying that, and I don't want people to assume. I'm just going to say this straight up. I really have no political affiliation because I hate politics, and I don't like being involved in politics. Hence why I'm a good messenger for this kind of stuff, because I'm literally a neutral party, because it's all fucking bullshit to me. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there, so do not put words in my mouth saying I'm for this or I'm for that. I have my own opinions, I have my own feelings, etc., that are simply just mine. Okay? They do not belong to a political affiliation, party, or anything or anybody else. They are simply mine. Okay? That is it. And those opinions and whatever is coming is not at all coming through in this. I am simply getting what I'm feeling through these aspects and what my own higher self is delivering to me. Okay? That is that. I'm just going to say that again because people are going to assume things, or they're going to put things together or whatever else. That's not what this is. I am simply the messenger. With that being said, I'm just going to move on. Mercury is also going to be in trine to Uranus this day. What it feels like is, I'm feeling as well with this Venus in Aquarius, with this mutual reception to Uranus, still retrograde though in Taurus. Okay, these are dealing with these big shifts and changes in our world that need to occur in whatever way. Okay, what I'm being drawn to say is these shifts and changes can happen through anyone. Positive things can happen through people that you may not perceive as positive. There you go. All right, but positive things can happen through anyone, just like good people can do bad things too. Okay? You have to stop putting people into a box and thinking that that's solely what they are all the time. That's not always the case. Really, and we can look at ourselves as well internally and realize that in the same way too. All right. Okay. I'm just feeling to just move on from that now. Okay, and just to reiterate that Mercury trine Uranus surrounding these big shifts and changes, it feels like there's something vocal being about it surrounding those shifts that need to occur. You can watch my previous videos last week surrounding that Venus and Uranus mutual reception. Okay, let's move on now to Monday the 19th. Of course, this is when we're going to have the Sun coming into Aquarius. Not quite there yet, but it looks like it happens basically near the end of the day, 7:47 p.m. Central. Okay, now I'm not going to tune into this simply because every time I do, all I get is the energy of that sign, okay? For me, my guidance has been, and this always comes up every single time, is that to not focus on your sun sign, that is, the word that I'm getting is like irrelevant, that you need to look at your entire chart, okay? Your sun may play a big role, it may not, okay? There could be more pressing things in your chart that you need to look at or understand, and your sun sign is just a small part of that, and how astrology has made a focus on that is kind of what I'm getting. The word that I get is error. It's been a large error in judgment, in putting this out there for people to understand, and that you need to look at everything first before you start to draw a conclusion on someone, and that means looking at the entire chart. And you shouldn't boil it down to just the sun sign because of some misbelief or misunderstanding previously, in terms of what brought that error up to people always looking at that. Okay, that's the guidance coming through. Now, Sun does come into Aquarius, so we're highlighting a bit more Aquarian energy. We're also going to have the Sun in sextile to Neptune. Okay, so this is happening at 29 degrees of Capricorn, 29 degrees of Pisces. I feel like I'm going to stir a lot of feathers with this video. So, Sun sextile Neptune. Feels more along the lines of the previous day's energy. There is, okay, what I get is there is some group or some influence behind the scenes that is very positive, that is influencing things like political leaders, etc. Whether we know or understand this or not, okay? And that's part of the message here. So there's a hidden influence, but it feels very positive, that is highlighting the influence of these leaders, and that's what I get is that aspect of control, and that's what is coming through with whatever control structures or whatever rules or whatever foot is being put down, whatever that is going on here. And we may not fully understand the extent to which these things are happening or what it really truly is, okay? That's what's coming through with that. Now, we're also going to have Venus in conjunction to Pluto on this day as well. Not till like almost so 10:04 p.m., so 2 hours before midnight central. Okay, so with this, it feels like a transformation of material things. It almost feels surrounding trade or some kind of trade, I'm seeing like boats, like cargo ships or something like that, something surrounding that, whether it's specifically that or whether they're just giving an analogy of whatever that message is. Okay, I'm being drawn to the fact again, Uranus is in Taurus and Venus rules Taurus, so we're dealing with more of a material aspect with this conjunction to Pluto in terms of transformation. It could be something that's freeing. Something that's freeing, something that's changing, transforming. It feels a lot more positive in whatever way, whether we see or understand it that way or not. That's what it seems like to me, okay? We're also going to have Saturn in sextile to Uranus. Let me just pull that up here. So we got Saturn here, sextile to Uranus. Of course, Uranus is retrograde. What I get with this is surrounding newer structures, but it's with that hidden behind the scenes support that I've talked about before, with these new structures, etc., surrounding these big shifts and changes. It feels like these old things that we know that we've needed to change that are now pushing and transforming and changing in whatever way through these new structures, new influences, etc., to push and enforce these kinds of changes that are happening right now. That's what that feels like. We're also going to have Venus, where are we here? Venus in sextile to Black Moon Lilith. This almost feels like help. It feels like there's other people involved here surrounding, removing like this outcasted kind of behavioral stuff, but it relates to these new transformations, new things. This doesn't feel like it's surrounding trade. It kind of. It feels like more like it's not directly. This is more relating to the administrative work behind these things is what that feels like. I don't know how else to put that into words. Surrounding these and the administrative work and talks and people involved surrounding letting go of like this outcastedness kind of behavior, and it feels like that's surrounding possible trade, but it's also, that feels like there's something else involved with that too, just in general, based on what I said on Sunday's energy of that new moon in Capricorn. And of course, remember that because Sunday's a Sunday, that this Sunday's a Sunday for us in North America, but that could also be Monday's energy in other parts of the world. But in North America, that energy might push over into Monday, so that this stuff could be related to Sunday stuff. This just gets kind of fucking complicated, but it's just how I'm getting it. Okay, so people involved surrounding dealing with that outcasted stuff with that, okay? Then we're also going to have Mars in trine to Uranus as well on this day. I feel like this is taking those really grounded action steps in solidifying these changes that we know that we've needed to occur. It's like that's already been, the changes have already been known, they've already been in play. This is very grounded energy. We're dealing with 2 earth signs, and it feels like taking action towards these things. It's an underlying positivity, but it feels like it could seem not that way, and that there may be some kind of a reluctance to action, like, okay, we'll do this, but ultimately it does lead to something positive or lead to something better, okay? So that is Monday the 19th. Let's move on to Tuesday, January 20th. And of course, on this day, we're going to have Mercury coming into Aquarius. Okay, I'm just trying to tune in here. This feels a bit more... It feels a bit more humanitarian. It feels a bit more globally involved in... It's hard to articulate this. I just want to say it feels more humanitarian. It feels more like there's a lot going on in terms of communication, like a lot of different... Okay, I get it now. With the Aquarius connection, disconnection, there's a lot of different people being talked to about different things, about different whatever. So it's like you're talking to this one, you're connecting to that, then you're connecting to this, then we're connecting to that, then we're connecting. But it's like feels very humanitarian. It feels very progressive is the other thing that is coming through. It's making progress through these communication through these different channels, etc. is what that really feels like. Okay, we're also going to have Mars in sextile to Saturn on this day as well. Now, this feels again like there's a hidden behind the scenes influence, structure, etc. that is influencing certain action steps that are being taken, grounded action steps that are being taken in the sense and the similar action steps to what I talked about before already. Okay, we're also going to have Venus in a quintile. Where are we here? To the South Node in Virgo. It almost feels like certain people being let go of or not being taken into account behind the scenes because they're, what I want to say is irrelevant. I don't mean to be mean with that, but there are certain people that are just... They're no longer relevant in certain spaces and certain areas because of the direction that we are moving in, which is be the North Node, the opposite of the South Node. So these people that once had a practical purpose or position that no longer do. But this is like behind the scenes stuff that is just kind of like I'm feeling someone that's like almost like gotten fired or they're have their head down like they're crying, like they're going away, but it feels very like this has been taken care of like behind the scenes, and everything else that is making progress and going on is moving forward because it needs to, but there's certain people that sadly need to be let go of, or maybe not so sadly, but need to be let go of or just taken care of in a way surrounding these things so they no longer have a practical use in whatever position they were. Okay, Again, I'm not going to get into that. That's that. They're also going to have Mercury here in sextile to Neptune. So, this actually feels like an awareness, communication. It feels very freeing, but it's of hidden things. So we're talking about hidden things, bringing up these conversations about hidden things, and that's freeing. It's that rebellious, that freeing, that part of that aspect of that Mercury in sextile to Neptune that is strongly coming through here, okay? Now, it brings an awareness to things, and then it's like, okay, we got to take action on this kind of a thing, right? Because we got Mars in Capricorn, we got all that stuff that I've talked about. All right, we got to take action, we got to deal with this. Feels like it's probably related to old stuff. Likely is when stuff comes up that's hidden like that. But it feels like it's very freeing. It's very liberating. It's very like, oh shit, I didn't realize that kind of thing. It's very Aquarian in that sense, relating to that Neptunian hidden type of an energy. Okay. Now let's move on to Wednesday the 21st. Wednesday the 21st is when we're going to have Sun conjunct Mercury, so the Sun-Mercury Cazimi moment. Okay, so with this, I feel like it's still, because there's still that sextile to Neptune, right? Even though it's out of sign now, okay? Because that obviously happened before Mercury came into Aquarius, but anyway. But it still feels... Okay, so what I'm getting is they were giving me with Mercury in Aquarius and sextile to the Neptune. Is there anything related to that Capricorn? No. So they're saying that what I'm getting is we're kind of ignoring the sextile when it comes to Mercury and Neptune with it in Capricorn. Not really ignoring, but the message that they're giving me is we're not... What's more important in terms of the message is when Mercury is still in sextile to Neptune when it comes into Aquarius. Okay, so what it specifically is, they're ignoring it for my purpose. It could still have an effect in that way, but for the purpose of this video and the message that is coming through, they want me to focus on the Mercury in sextile to Neptune with Mercury in Aquarius, where that still is in effect even though it's an out of sign sextile. Now, Sun conjunct Mercury. Let's see here. Feels like more of an awareness through revealing communication. But like I said, with that sextile still to Neptune, okay, this is obviously why they're wanting me to highlight that more, because it's relating more to aspects such as this. Okay, and which is probably why it's being brought up now and not on the previous day. So Sun conjunct Mercury, there's a highlighted awareness to... seems what the word I got is atrocities, and feeling more free because of it, awareness, all that kind of stuff that is coming up with this kind of an energy. And I feel like it's not just hidden now with that Neptune energy, it feels like supported from either a higher level or a positive behind the scenes influence that is influencing these kinds of things. All right. So also we're going to have Jupiter. Where are we here? Jupiter in sesqui square to Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius. Now Jupiter rules Sagittarius, so this might be a bit interesting. Okay, this is surrounding levels of... Okay, this is about that outcastedness behavior that I've gotten before. But now what it is it's learning to be like more comfortable with like who you are as it relates to this stuff that I talked about with Black Moon Lilith already in terms of... Now, remember, this is mundane, so this is like on more of a... It's a country... It feels like more personal. I don't know. Like, what is this, guys? So I'm just get the feeling to just continue to keep talking. So it feels like how this outcastedness that I talked about before that's kind of being resolved, that we're now feeling to be like more comfortable within your own skin with this Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. It's that more comfort. It's like that expansion of that energy based, and because Jupiter's retrograde, I feel like it's based off this old stuff that is now being rectified with it being fixed in terms of we know that you've been outcast, but now it's being fixed or whatever with this Black Moon Lilith stuff that I talked about before. Now, okay, how does this relate? Global mundane. They're saying it doesn't. They're saying this relates more on a personal level. Okay, but based on what is happening on a global mundane level. Okay. Anything else to that? It feels like events that have affected, like I said, the Black Moon, whatever at the beginning of the week with the Black Moon Lilith energy or whatever, that have made people feel more comfortable and more better on an individual level. Okay, that's what I'm getting with that. So it's still a mundane reading. It's going to affect people personally because of what has affected. And with this sesqui square, it's like something that can't be swept under the rug any longer and what needs to be dealt with. Okay, we got that. Now let's move on to Thursday the 22nd. Okay, Thursday the 22nd. Of course, we're going to have Mercury in conjunction to Pluto now on this day. What I feel like is transformative communication. This could feel, okay, it feels very intense, maybe related to what has been known or released or understood based on the Neptunian aspects before, that Sun conjunct Mercury. The Sun is still in a 1-degree conjunction to this, okay? So this could be highly transformative, kind of an energy that is happening here through whatever is being brought up, but it feels like, yeah, that. So, like I said, transformative communication surrounding maybe what has come out, what has been uncovered, what has been whatever, what has been revealed or understood or whatever that is happening that feels very freeing, ultimately feels very freeing. We're also going to have Mercury here in, we're already on Mercury. Okay, Mercury here in this biquintile to the South Node in Virgo. I feel like this is relating to past. This feels like a behind the scenes, almost maybe on a personal level, relating to past stuff that is now being rectified or dealt with on like a more official, higher level based on whatever has come out, whatever was being told, whatever was going on surrounding this kind of a stuff through this awareness communication. It feels like practical things that have been let go and released of. Okay. We're also going to have Mercury in sextile to Black Moon Lilith as well on this day. So it feels freeing in relating to what I talked about at the beginning of the week regarding this outcasted energy as it relates to that Lilith. Feels very freeing, very supportive in terms of, I want to say, with the growth and the expansion due to Lilith being in the sign, Jupiter sign of Sagittarius. In terms of, sorry, I'm just feeling a bit like conflicted here in terms of, okay, we're still talking about a global mundane thing. It just feels so, it feels like this could be a okay, they're just like, trust the process here, okay? So this could be, okay, just trust the process here. It's just because this is even hard for me to fully understand and trust sometimes when I'm getting through these kinds of things. Like, I do trust it, but it's just, when you do this ahead of time and you're not fully aware of like certain things, it can be like, what the hell are you talking about? And then something happens and you're like, oh, that's why. Okay, so it's like, it's just my mind, it's just my ego mind trying to question things when it doesn't fully understand things. All right, so let's just continue on with this reading here. And this is why it's important to not let your ego get involved into shit, okay? And at least understand its effect. So take this as a lesson for all of us. Okay, Mercury sextile Black Moon Lilith. So through whatever communication is involved, it feels very freeing surrounding those who have been outcasted. It feels like an aspect of relief. Okay, and there's growth and expansion that is involved there in kind of allowing people to really be themselves instead of, or almost like healing that part. But this feels like on some official level with some communication. It almost feels like a political leader or political stuff that is saying these things, and then it makes everybody feel better. I don't know, something like that. Okay, let's move on to the 23rd. We're going to have Mars here that will be coming into Sagittarius. You can see Mars at 0 degrees here now. Very early in the morning, it looks like around 3:20 a.m. Central. So Mars coming into, sorry, not into Sagittarius, into Aquarius. Did I say Sagittarius? I mean Mars coming into Aquarius. Okay. Get it together, buddy. Get it together. So Mars coming into Aquarius. This feels like taking action towards a lot more, it feels like freedom. Freedom, liberation, that kind of stuff. That kind of more, on a general level, more that action step. Again, this is mundane global, so that's what I'm getting on a more general level. Taking action towards more that freedom, that kind of an aspect. Yeah. Okay, we're also going to have Mars in sextile to Neptune as well. So this obviously happens before it comes into Aquarius, but we can see that sextile there. They're drawing me back again to focus on this Mars in Aquarius as it relates to that sextile to Neptune. Again, there's something about that Aquarian energy that is more so being used with these aspects in terms, instead of it being used before it comes into Aquarius. If that makes any sense, because again, astrology, this is how this energy is being used. It doesn't just happen to you, it's how we use it, how our higher selves use it, how it is being used, okay? Which is why it's not always going to have the same meaning for everyone and for every situation. Feels like it's being taken action on those hidden things that likely have possibly come up. Which, of course, what I'm getting can lead to those freeing things, action steps towards being free, freedom things, etc. It's also this hidden support that is helping with these action steps towards these things of what it feels like is freedom, progress, the Aquarian kind of vibe, but it feels like more freedom, progress, that kind of stuff, okay? We're also going to have the Sun here, which will conjunct Pluto on this day as well. I feel like this is highlighting an ultimate transformation of sorts that needs to occur. It almost feels like it's an ousting of something. The Sun is in biquintile to the South Node, also peaking on this day. We can see here, right there. So, and I'm being drawn to that in terms of this ousting. It feels like it's very like behind the scenes, like we're going to take care of this kind of an energy to dump this out. It feels like we may see this though. It happens behind the scenes, but we see it as an overall thing. But the actual process of that ousting or whatever occurs is happening behind the scenes, is what that feels like. Now, and it just feels like there's an ultimate transformation. It feels very scorpionic with this, and not so much with the Aquarian energy, although the Aquarian energy is pushing, almost feels like a rebellious force that is behind that to push for that transformation, whatever that is. The Sun is also going to be in sextile to Black Moon Lilith here. Again, I feel like this is related again to what I said at the beginning of the week surrounding this energy and this ultimate transformation. It feels very freeing for those that have been outcasted in whatever way. And this was relating to like countries, people involved with that. It feels like this is going to affect us on a personal, the global mundane things will affect us on a personal level. Maybe that's what I was feeling about this earlier as to why I was confused. But it will affect us on a more personal level as well. Like its effects will feel it affected personally throughout this week. So that's Friday. Let's move on to Saturday the 24th here as we head to the end of this week. We're going to have Venus here in semi-sextile to Juno in Capricorn. I don't know why this feels like an ending to certain commitments. Okay, I'm being drawn to the fact with Venus and Aquarius, this is about shaking things up. That idea of connecting and disconnecting, shaking things up. Remember, this is how this energy is used, okay? About shaking things up in terms of like these committed partnerships, contracts, etc. That will then, it feels like an ending of sorts, okay? That have come to or will come to an end or something like that, as it relates to the people involved. That's all I'm going to say about that. Venus will also be in quincunx to the south node and semi-sextile to the north node here. So we see the semi-sextile to the north node, this quincunx to the south node. This feels like the situation is frustrating, like it should have been dealt with before, or things should have been released before. The reason why this, but it's being taken action on now. Usually quincunxes are frustrating because you don't know what to do. This is almost like a bullheaded, like we're just gonna deal with this now, despite the fact that the energy that is involved is like with a quincunx, it's like it's two different kinds of energy that don't normally get along, and you have to try to incorporate them. It's like, we don't care anymore, we're just going to deal with it, even if it rubs people the wrong way or this is clashing or whatever. It's like, we just got to do this. And that's what's frustrating about it, because you know that it has to get dealt with or done in whatever way. And then this semi-sextile to the north node, where it is like, what I honestly feel is it's this subtle energy, but it's always there, always been there, and it ultimately kind of feels somewhat stronger in that, but subtle in that we're moving in this new direction. And how it relates to the people that are involved, that are taking care of and doing these things based on what I said. Juno is also in trine to the south node and sextile to the north node. Now, fucking hell, man. I feel like this is relating to whatever those committed partnerships, contracts, etc. were. That are now being released and let go of. These are practical things surrounding these committed partnerships, contracts, etc. that are being let go of. And what I'm getting is, because of this highlighted new path forward that is ultimately better for those involved in terms of the ending of what this has to be and the letting go of that. This feels very positive for the people that deserve that positivity, and negative for the people that deserve that. Okay? I'm being drawn to this, when you're like learning math and you're like, a positive number times a positive number is a positive times a negative, and then I remember one of the professors I had in university, actually, that was reviewing these things. I think it was in I forget what kind of class it was. Maybe it was I don't know. It was an elective that I had taken. And when he got to the negative ones, and you go, so his analogy was a negative times a negative is a positive, right? So if you have if you do a bad thing, do a bad person, that's a good thing, okay? That was the analogy of that. So that's the kind of energy that I'm getting with this, okay? So let me just bring it back to me here. So that's kind of the end of the video for this week. If you've made it this far, please leave a purple heart in the comments that I know you're a real one. If you are looking to personalize this, so remember, this is Global Mundane. If you are looking to personalize this, you can, of course, get a reading with me. All those links are in the description below, and I hope to see you all in next week's video. Take care, and bye.